guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Andrew, and today we're going to be doing a Beginner Bmx video. It's not like a top 5 though. I actually recently watched like a top 5 Beginner Bmx tricks, and I feel like it's just not like a good concept for beginners, because it makes them feel like if you learn these 5 tricks, you're no longer a beginner. That's not really the case. That's not how I see it. I watched it just to see what they put in there. I'm not like super good, but I mean, I don't know if I'm still a beginner. Anyway, I planned on filming all the clips for this video, but I didn't get off work till kind of late, so I'm gonna use clips from my YouTube channel and then insert them as I talk about it. But I'm gonna go over like top tricks that BMX riders should learn, and not necessarily things that are tricks, but just stuff you should do on your bike. Because as a beginner, the most important thing is really bike control and like finding your balance points, and you know, which way you spin, which way you throw your bars, stuff like that. For like future stuff, when you start getting more advanced into riding, that's a lot more important, just knowing your bike. But we'll talk about the tricks you should do, different stuff you should do. And I'm holding my mic because I like to hold it, so don't judge me. It's just more fun that way. Real quick before I say the first one, I know there's gonna be a lot of new faces to the channel with this type of video, and I hate asking people to subscribe, but if this is at all helpful, do me a favor, hit that button. And I'm trying to post as often as I can. More videos definitely on the way, but let's jump right into it. This one's gonna be obvious. Everyone says this one first, but it is definitely the most important thing to just learn bunny hops. So you want to have good form. Don't bunny hop 2 tires at the same time. You're gonna want to do J hops, pro hops, whatever you call them. Front tire then back tire. I'll kind of slow-mo some of these clips, show good form, but you know, just pull the bars towards your chest and then use your legs to lift the back end and level out the bike. This is definitely the best form. Don't try to hop high at first, just practice form. Higher hops will come with time, so don't force it. You're gonna want to bunny hop basically every curb, like up and down every curb you come across, every little gap you find, every little stair set, nothing too sketchy, but just bunny hop everything. Like, spend time just doing that, get super comfortable with your bike. Like I said, use good form. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna be, easier it'll be to send stuff in the future. And with that bunny hop, you should definitely do tire rides, like literally just curbs or any narrow thing, nothing like super wide, otherwise it doesn't really count. But do some like tire rides on curbs or little ledges. I wouldn't try rails, but that's just to get bike control. Just like knowing where your tires are is huge, so doing a lot of tire rides is good. Curbs are a great start. Hop onto a curb, try to ride right along the side of it, and then hop off. Bike control for himself. The next trick I'm going to talk about is manuals. Very, very fun trick, very fundamental trick. Good for learning your balance points, and eventually you're going to use them for linking lines. You can do basically any trick into or out of a manual. So you don't need like a specific area to practice this, but if you want to use like parking spaces and do line to line, but you can practice these anywhere. Once you learn bunny hops, you can try to bunny hop into them and bunny hop out of them. But just as you're riding down the road, try to do some manuals. And with manuals, you're going to want to keep your arms fully extended and use your legs to balance it. So as you bring like your like hips towards the bars, like your bottom area towards the bars, that'll lower your front end. And then if you push your butt like over your back tire, that'll raise your front end. But I'd say keep your arms straight. Don't try to muscle it. It looks terrible form. You'll never get good manuals like that. So don't like use your arms to muscle the front wheel around. Like, it's just not a good way to do it. I'll show you some of those. Keep in mind, a lot of these clips are years old. Like, some are months old, days old, years old. Keep that in mind. So you're working on your bunny hops, working on your manuals. You're definitely going to want to learn fakies. Obviously fundamental going backwards, and you're going to be going backwards a lot because it's fun and it looks cool. So best way to learn fakies is definitely just bump into a wall. If you have a Freecoaster, that's awesome. I don't necessarily think it's better to learn with a Freecoaster as a beginner. I personally ride one, I like them better, but when I was learning, I think a cassette would have been better for me because I tried learning with a Freecoaster and I think it was kind of a setback because like with a cassette you can pressure a little bit as you're backpedaling and like slow yourself down, and you have that instant pedal pressure to turn yourself around, or with the Freecoaster you could have slack and you're kind of just cruising backwards. But just lean back a little bit and then turn your wheel into it. You can just pick it up and lift it, or you can slide it. I'll show you a couple different ways. Obviously you can half cab, definitely a lot more advanced, but you'll get there. Once you learn 180s, it'll be easier, which we'll talk about next. But here's some fakies.
Go up against the wall, you turn it to the left, and then pull up around.
You use some.
Nicely. It's really easy to get frustrated with fakies. Just give it time. It'll all of a sudden click, and you'll land every single fakie once it clicks. I struggled with them for a while. Honestly, I don't even know why. Looking back on it, I think I just had bad form or something. Like, I was overthinking it so much, and like I said, I was using a Freecoaster. So if you have a cassette, don't feel like you, sorry in my face, don't feel like you need a Freecoaster. Eventually it is more fun, but cassettes really do have a lot of advantages, so just stick with it, be content, because I wasn't, and it was stupid of me. But next you're going to want to do 180s for sure. 180s are very fun. I 180 everything, and honestly a lot of times it's easier to like 180 stuff than bunny hop stuff, which doesn't make sense, but it does once you start doing them a lot. With 180 though, you're going to want to use a good form, front tire, then back tire. Don't pop both at the same time. And you're going to want to pull, keep your head turned over your shoulders the whole way through. And I think it helps to land a little bit over rotated, and so you can fake you out instantly. If you're on a cassette, just do one back pedal, pull that crap around real quick. If you're on a Freecoaster, just slide it. I mean, that's what I always did. I'll show you that. And if you want to do like a long fake out of the 180, just try to land like literally straight 180 then. But I'll show you good form on those, like tucking them up and stuff like that. I'll slow it down.
Yeah.
Okay. After the 180, I feel like this is where most people normally lose it in the Beginner Bmx series. I don't think you should go to like 360s. It's really not a beginner trick. It's a lot more complicated than they make it out to be in those videos usually. And G-turns aren't like a good solution either. I think that a huge fundamental that everybody needs to learn is different grinds, like the basic grinds. So that's what I put next to my list. It's going to be feebles, double pegs, and Smith grinds. Those are like the basis to everything. No switch pegs, just regular pegs. Learning those three grinds. Feebles are the easiest in my opinion. There's not a whole lot going on in them. Basically all you're going to want to do is ride just about parallel to the ledge, maybe a slight angle at it, and if you're left foot forward, if you're right foot forward, you're gonna ground on your right. If you're left foot forward, you're gonna ground on your left. And a feeble, back peg on, the coping, and front tire on top of the ledge. So I think it helps if you aim your front tire and then land your back peg on, and then try to keep your weight forward over the front tire, keep resistance off the peg. The more resistance you have on the peg, the harder it is for it to slide unless it's super waxed up. Definitely use wax, but make sure you wax along where the tire slides because it bites up pretty bad. I'll show you some feebles. So feebles are still my favorite grind. I do them a lot. You can eventually throw 180s out of them. That's a whole nother subject. I have how-tos on that if you ever want to watch it. But next is going to be double pegs. For double pegs, I would say it's best to aim your front peg. You're going to want to do a slight angle for this one too, maybe parallel. I always aim my front peg on the ledge or the rail first and then follow with my back peg. You can land both at the same time. Doesn't really matter. I don't think that aiming your back peg first is good because your front peg might miss and it'd just be awkward. For these, don't lean too hard into a ledge because your pegs are just going to scrape. You're not going to slide. So kind of keep your weight centered. If you're on a rail, you can kind of lean over it. It'll work good. So I'll show you some double pegs on rails. And I think I have one on a ledge from years ago.
Skittles.
Alright, and last grind we're going to talk about is Smith grinds. There's plenty of other grinds to learn, but they're a little bit more advanced, so we're going to keep those out of here. Smith grinds are kind of scary. They're definitely the most advanced out of all of them. And, I mean, they're not scary anymore, but, like, they're scary when you're learning them. Because it just feels like there's so much stuff that can go wrong. What you're going to want to do for that is definitely come at a slight angle for this one. Aim your front peg onto the coping, and then kind of, like, use your hips to get the back tire onto the ledge. And your back tire is going to want to, like, walk straight back off the ledge. Because if you just think about how your bike's positioned, as it rolls forward, it's going to want to roll off the ledge. So you do want to keep your weight forward on your, keep your weight on your back tire, sorry. Lean back a little bit, keep your weight on your back tire, keep the resistance off the front peg, but kind of turn your peg into the ledge a little bit. It'll keep the direction of your bike good so you don't pop off right away. Coming out of a few Smith grind, you're going to want to either just bunny hop and like pull out hard sideways, or you can just swing your back tire, and I'll show you what I mean. But basically just like put a little weight forward and use your hips and your legs to swing the bike off the ledge. It's a fun way to do it. Alright, next is going to be just airing out of quarters or airing out of a fun box, and no tricks involved. Literally just, like air up out of a quarter. It seems simple, but I see a lot of people do it wrong, where they're like leaning really far back and loop out, or they just look super unnatural coming out, like they're just like frozen up in the air and super stiff, which that was me. I was definitely not good. But just try to stay relaxed as you come up. Let your tires hit the coping if there's coping. Don't try to like hop over the coping and just like pull out of, I don't know. Don't try to pull away from it or whatever. So let your tires pop up and then like push your front end up and just level out the bike with your legs. It just makes you look like you kind of know what you're doing if you come out of quarter pipe and level out in the air and get some decent height. I'll show you a few what I mean from our old box shop. I don't know if I have any footage from a quarter, but I might. So I'll look for that. Alright, so if you've learned everything I've talked about, you can decently bunny hop, you can tire ride maybe some somewhat narrow objects, which is cool. You can do gaps, stairs, you know how to fakie. You can maybe manual or hop manual, which is super fun. Basic grinds, and that stuff is all really good stuff to know. Like if you show up to a skate park and someone sees you do, I don't know, hop manual and then smith a little ledge and then like 180 out of the quarter pipe or something, like they'd understand that you're a beginner by how you're riding, but at least it looks like you know what you're doing. You have some idea of like how to do tricks, and you're not just sending 360s out of a bank that you have no chance of landing, or trying to tail whip. You just look like an idiot if you're trying to tail whip out of a quarter and you don't even know how to bunny hop. So take your time, learn your bike, learn the fundamentals, and I think filming yourself, it actually pushes you. Nothing wrong with that, but most of all, just have fun with it. There's no like set rules on how to be a beginner, so if you don't like what I said, do your own thing, but I think it's a good place to start, and then from there you can grow. 180, whatever you want. If you think you want to learn 360s, go for that, but I have videos on how to 360, how to 180, how to bunny hop, how to manual, how to smith, how to feeble. I have a lot of how-tos, so make sure you check them out. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Leave a comment if I miss anything, or if you want like a part 2, you can do like the next set. Thank you for watching.